Hey everybody, it's Sarah with Loaves and Dishes, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make these fried pork chops. So full disclosure, I have never liked pork chops. Every time I've eaten them, they've always been super tough and chewy and not appealing to eat. Nobody ever seasons them very well. So I'm going to show you how to make tender pork chops that are absolutely delicious. So I'm making a breading station because I'm frying mine. But you should know off camera, because I didn't know how to film this without shaking the camera, I pounded out the pork chops so that they were fairly thin. I'm going to say like half an inch to an inch thick. And then I also scored the top of the pork chops, which you'll see. Something else that you can do if you want is you can do a dry brine. And what that is where you put the pork chops in with some sugar, some salt, some MSG, and some baking powder, and let those kind of marinate in the fridge, and that's a dry brine, and it'll make them really tender. So for my breading, I did cornstarch. For my liquid, I didn't have any buttermilk, but I would use buttermilk with a little bit of grainy mustard. But I used half and half with some apple cider vinegar and the grainy mustard. And then I did panko breadcrumbs, and you can put whatever kind of seasoning you want in the panko. I did some garlic powder, onion powder, and some Slap Your Mama seasoning, which is a little spicy. I'm going to show you, see how I scored the top. I just cut kind of a thin line going diagonal, and then I'm going to start in my cornstarch and just give that a really good coating. Also, you want to make sure that you dry these off. Just pat them off really well with a paper towel so that they're pretty dry. Things will stick better if they're dry. Then I dipped it in my sort of buttermilk mixture. And then I'm going to dip it in the panko breadcrumbs, and I'm going to do that twice. And when I put it in the panko, I use my fingers. You want to press the panko on top of the pork chop. You want to press it in. You want to make sure that it really gets in the score that you did, that you get all the edges coated and that kind of thing. And then I'm going to set it on a plate, and I'm going to bread the next pork chop. And I thought I showed it to you, but I scored this one as well, and I pounded them out before I scored them. So pound them out with something heavy and then score them, and you can also do a dry brine if you want them to be extra delicious. I really recommend the dry brine. I was starting to run out of panko and I didn't want to put more in there. Stop it. And then a super important step, aside from making sure that you use up all the breading. I noticed that a lot of my seasonings had fallen down into the bottom of the bowl, but you want to let the pork chops rest for about 10 minutes. I don't know what this does, but it's like a magic step. You let it rest. The coating like really sticks on to the pork chop. You got to do it. Just trust me. Normally when I fry things, I would put the breading on and then immediately put it in the pan because I was worried about the breading coming off, but just let it rest. So my pork chops got a little stuck to the pan. I should have used a little more oil and let them cook a little longer. That was my fault. It's really important when you're frying things to just leave them alone and let them cook fully before you try and turn them. Then I check the internal temperature. You want to remove them from the pan once they hit the internal temperature of 145 degrees. And this also prevents overcooking. You don't want to overcook them because that also leads to them being dry and yucky. And that is it. You want to let them sit for a few minutes to kind of like re-rest before you serve them. I sprinkled a little salt and pepper on top. If I had had some lemon, I would have squeezed a lemon on top. I really love doing a pork chop kind of like a schnitzel where it's like fried and then you do some lemon on top. It's really good. But that was it. These pork chops were amazing. I tested this recipe for a live video on our Facebook, and it was spectacular. These are the best pork chops I've ever had, and that may or may not be saying something. I'm not sure because I've never really had good pork chops. But if you want to see more recipes like these, you can check out loavesanddishes.net. If you want to hear more from myself and my mom, we do have a podcast. It's called Dorks with Sporks, and you can find that wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We're putting out a new video every Monday through Friday, and you can follow us on Facebook at Loaves and Dishes for more like live videos. But thanks for watching.